Welcome, welcome. Welcome to eBible study. We are here to study the Word of God. I'm excited. Welcome, welcome. Come on in. I'm gonna play I'm sharing on my Facebook page. I hope you're doing the same. I am inviting people to come on in. Welcome, welcome. Welcome YouTube, welcome Facebook. Oh, it's a good day. Well, welcome. Welcome to you who have joined me on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Instagram. I'm Pastor Carla Campbell with the House of Refuge Ministries, and it's our Turn It Up Thursday. Our Turn It Up Thursday. I join you here on Monday nights at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And I also join you here on the House of Refuge Ministries Facebook page, our Instagram page, and our YouTube channel for our weekly Bible study. So we are in a book study on eBible study. It's a great way to study. I pray if you don't have a place of worship, if you don't have a fellowship that you are a member of, and you're looking for a place where you can come and you can study the Word of God, that you'll join me here on eBible study and study the Word with us, okay? And even if you do have a group that you're with, continue to be with them, and you can join us as well, okay? You can always watch the replays if you can't watch us live. So welcome, 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 welcome. We are going to be in 2 Samuel, the 6th chapter. 2 Samuel, the 6th chapter. So I'm going to pray, and then we're going to study. Bless you, God. Bless your name, Jesus. Bless you, bless you. Speak through your word tonight, God. Let it come forth with power and authority. Steady our hearts, oh God. Ready our hearts before you. Let it be good soil that your word falls upon. And let it bear the fruits of righteousness in our personalities and our character that give you glory and give you honor. We love you, Lord. We bless you, Jesus. And it is in the name of Jesus that is above all names that I pray. Amen. 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 So, all right. That is Yolanda Adams. I love Yolanda Adams. I love you. And we are going to jump into the word tonight on 2 Samuel, the 6th chapter. 2 Samuel, the 6th chapter. Now, to kind of bring you up to date in the narrative and where we're at in our story of David. David is now king of all of Israel, over the 12 tribes. He is king over Judah, 10 tribes, which comprise Israel. Even before the split, and you'll see the split that occurs with his son Jeroboam or Rehoboam. You are going to use a division between the 12 tribes, where 2 of them came to David first and requested that he be king. And then 7 years later, it took 7 years for the remaining tribes that comprised Israel to come up under David. And so now here, as we begin the 6th chapter in 2 Samuel. We're seeing the two tribes are now, or excuse me, all 12 tribes are under the kingship of David. David has established his seat of his capital seat, or the seat of power, if you will, in the city of Jerusalem, which was a neutral spot that was ruled by the Jebusites, who were a people group that should have been uprooted during Joshua's time, back around Joshua the 15th chapter, and they didn't do that. And still have control over Jerusalem. Jerusalem sits upon a hill surrounded by three valleys, very, very defensible. You cannot come into Jerusalem without being seen. But God showed David a way to come through, and David was willing to humble himself, and the men basically who were fighting with David, they humbled themselves and they found a way of entry through the sewer system. The waterway sewer system into Jerusalem was how they entered. It was not the type of entry that most people would have wanted, but how many of you know that when God is delivering you, sometimes he will have you to do things or have you to move forward in things that are very uncomfortable, can be very messy, but that is the way that God is bringing forth for you to have deliverance and to have victory. Okay. And that is what he did with David and his men in order to capture Jerusalem, to defeat a stronghold that had been in their midst for years. And so I asked the question of you last week, what would you be willing to do? And what has to die in you in order to be able to move forward in what God has called you to do? Are you willing to climb up a sewer system in order to break a stronghold that has been there over your mindset, over your heart set? Are you willing to do those things that are necessary in order to be free, in order to have deliverance? Okay, I don't want to reteach, but that is where we're at. That is where we're at. And David has had mighty victories over the Philistines. And David has inquired of the Lord when it came to the battles with the Philistines. He did not inquire of the Lord when it came to marrying a bunch of wives on the road in his monarchy. Okay, he did not choose God, or did not inquire of God in all matters, and he's going to pay for it. He's going to be back to bite him. Okay, so let's start in the 6th chapter in the 1st verse. I'm going to read down to you. I'm going to start with the 1st verse and read down, and we're going to unpack the scriptures. Okay. Again, David gathered all the choice men of Israel, 30,000, and David arose and went with all the people who were with him from Baal, Judah, to bring up from there the ark of God, whose name is called by name the Lord of hosts, who dwells between the cherubim. So they set the ark of God on a new cart, brought it out of the house of Abinadab, which was on the hill, and Uzzah and Ahud, the sons of Abinadab, drove the new cart. And they brought it out of the house of Abinadab, which was on the hill, accompanying the ark of God, and Ahud went before the ark. Then David and all the house of Israel played music before the Lord on all kinds of instruments of firewood, on harps and stringed instruments, on tambourines, on sistrums, and on cymbals. And when they came to Nachon's threshing floor, Uzzah put out his hand to the ark of God and took hold of it. For the 2 Samuel, the 6th chapter, I'm getting ready to read verse number 7 for those of you who have joined on the social media platforms. Then the anger of the Lord was aroused against Uzzah, and God struck him there for his error, and he died there by the ark of God. And David became angry because of the Lord's outbreak against Uzzah. And he called the name of the place Perez Uzzah to this day. Verse 9, David was afraid of the Lord that day, and he said, how can the ark of the Lord come to me? So David would not move the ark of the Lord with him into the city of David, but David took it aside into the house of Obed-Edom, the Gittite. The ark of the Lord remained in the house of Obed-Edom, the Gittite, 3 months, and the Lord blessed Obed-Edom and all his household. I've read for you verses 1 through 11 of 2 Samuel, the 6th chapter. Now, Here we have David has established a place called the City of David, Jerusalem, which is going to be his place of authority, the seat of authority. He looks to bring into the people's midst, because remember, the Ark of the Covenant had been stolen by God had broken out amongst